Hey, Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Hope it's been wonderful so far. All of us are breathing a collective sigh of relief that 2020 is over. And this time of year is honestly one of my favorites because all of the stress of the holidays are behind us and we have a fresh new start with the new year. And I love setting goals for the upcoming year, thinking about all of the things that I want to do and accomplish, and all of the places I want to go, the adventures I want to have. And it's been on my heart for a couple years now to share the goal setting process that I use that I got from Fizzle. I want to cite my sources. I got it from Fizzle, which is a company that supports entrepreneurs of small businesses, regular everyday people like you and me that are interested in starting their own businesses. And I think they're still around. I'm not quite sure, but a couple years ago I was really into their subscription online learning courses, and they also have a podcast, or had a podcast, that was really entertaining. And I was listening to the podcast when they started talking about this goal setting process, which is a lot different and more productive than simply setting a resolution for the year, which, as we all know, a lot of times we don't even follow through with our resolutions because you say you want to work out and you get your new clothes and gym shoes, and then you go to the gym for January, and then by February most people have usually already stopped going. They just didn't really incorporate it, make it a regular habit. And there's reasons behind that. But I wanted to share this process because I have found it really effective for me, and I thought maybe it could be helpful for other people. So I will also share the link to the podcast, and I think they also have a printable workbook to help you work through this. But really all you need is either a notebook or some pieces of paper and a pen or a pencil. And I remember when I first started doing this, I found this at Michael's on sale, and I thought it was perfect for recording each year's process, goal setting process. It says a goal is a dream with a deadline, which I think is perfect. Kind of fits in, relates. All right, so the 5-step process. First of all, the first step number 1, is you want to set a timer for 15 minutes, and on your piece of paper or your notebook, you are going to do a brain dump or a brainstorming session where you write down all of the possible goals that you can think of that you would love to accomplish in the upcoming year. And this can be and should be not only realistic goals and easy to accomplish goals, but also the really big blue sky, I don't even know if I have the time to accomplish type of goals, like I want to write a book or a novel, or I want to learn a new instrument, or I want to run a marathon even though I haven't done it before type of goals. You should definitely put those goals down in your step 1 on your page as well, because you don't want to edit yourself at this point. Right now it's about casting a really wide net and getting all of the thoughts down on paper. And what oftentimes happens is you get kind of excited because you're thinking about your dreams and what you would love to see happen, and you get the adrenaline pumping a little bit. And what I often find is not only do I get excited when I do step 1, but even hours or days later, some other goal will pop into my head, some other idea will come into my head, and I'll end up writing that down too because it wasn't on my list. And so I definitely encourage you, if that happens to you, to go ahead and put that on your list as well, because you never know, that could be something that resonates a lot more with you for the upcoming year than some of the other stuff that you wrote down. In fact, if you're not used to journaling or writing on a regular basis, I feel like the first time that you're writing is almost like throat clearing, I should say. I think Toni Morrison called it that just journaling is important to clear your throat, as they say, in order to get to the more juicy stuff. So that's step 1. Sorry if I sound a little hoarse. I've actually tried to record this a couple times, and because the storage was almost out on my phone, it cut it off. And so this is, I think, the third or fourth time that I'm trying to record this, but it's really important to me, and I really want to share it with everyone because it's helped me a lot, and I think it can help other people. All right, so step 2 is on another sheet of paper, you are going to draw a vertical line down the middle of the paper, and on the left side, you're going to write what didn't work for me in the last year, or what didn't work for me in 2020. So that'll be on the left side of the paper. And then on the right side of the paper, you're going to write at the top what did work for me last year, or what did work for me in 2020. So in the past, I've written things like, for what didn't work for me when I was trying to potty train my son and I was trying to force it, that didn't really work for me. Making unnecessary purchases for fear of missing out, for FOMO, I've written that down before. Things that did work for me, establishing a bedtime routine with my son worked for me. Pursuing graphic design and marketing when before I was a stay-at-home mom, that worked for me at that time in my life a lot better. So it can be honestly anything. Setting boundaries for yourself, like making sure you get to bed at a certain time. That's something that's worked for me. If making sure that I get to bed, am in bed and going to sleep around 10 o'clock versus doing things to stay up a lot later, and then I'm groggy and not productive the next day for work. So it can honestly be anything for step 2. And then for step 3, so step 2 is more of a reflection on the past year, what wasn't working for you and what was working. And that leads into step 3, and step 3 on another sheet of paper. And step 2 and step 3 and everything else isn't timed. It was only step 1 that was. And sometimes I find myself doing step 1 over like a couple times just because I like to try to get all of my thoughts out. But for step 3, now on a new sheet of paper or the next page of your journal, you're going to write at the top, what am I going to say no to in this upcoming year or in 2021? And then halfway down, or you can do it on another sheet of paper, you write down, what am I going to say yes to, or what am I saying yes to in 2021? So now is the time to sort of pick and choose. Maybe you looked at the things that weren't working for you in step 2, and you can say, well, I'm going to say no to whatever is last minute requests for things from clients, or I'm going to say no to volunteer work that I don't have time for, things like that. It could be anything. And then what am I saying yes to? Maybe I'm saying yes to more coffee dates with my friends because I miss them and I've been so isolated. Or maybe I'm saying yes to more weekend trips, or, it could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to your career. But yeah, really what you want to say no to and what you want to say yes to. How do you want your upcoming year to look? How are you setting your priorities? For me, saying yes to boundaries on my time and my energy, on who I let into my life, is really important for me in 2021. So you go through the 3 steps, and you want to review all of these before you get to step 4. So take a look at everything you've written so far, sort of look for patterns, look for, things that are resonating with you. And then once you get to step 4, this is really the bread and butter of this whole process. This is a secret sauce. So this is where you decide. You choose, it says 10 goals. If that seems like a lot for you, then it doesn't have to be 10. It could be 8, it could be 6, whatever feels right for you. But in this process, it says you select or you choose 10 goals for yourself for the upcoming year that you want to accomplish. So that's the first part of step 4. Second step of step 4, so step of the step, right? It's very meta, is for each of your 10 goals, you want to write down your why. Why is it you want to accomplish this goal? What benefit is it going to give you? What is it going to look like? Or what will you have achieved? Or what will you feel like, for example, by achieving this goal? And I say, what will you feel like, because I hadn't really thought about this when I've done this process before, but I have this book. I haven't finished it, but I have started it. It's called The Desire Map by Daniel Laporte. It's been around for a while, but the whole idea behind this, and I hadn't really thought about this before, but a lot of times we get caught up in creating goals because, or choosing goals because we think that's what we should be doing, because it looks good on paper, because it's a huge accomplishment. But then sometimes if we follow through and achieve that goal, we end up maybe being a little disappointed, or it doesn't really feel the way that we thought it was going to feel, or maybe all of the work and effort that was required in order to accomplish that goal, maybe once we see all the sacrifices that we made, maybe we don't feel like it's worth it once we accomplish it. We just don't feel as good as we thought we were going to feel. And so in the Desire Map, it says it's called A Guide to Creating Goals with Soul. Knowing how you want to feel is the most potent clarity you can have. Generating those feelings is the most powerful thing you can do with your life. And so this book kind of walks you through the process. And actually, one of my goals for the year is to read 10 books. And this is one of them that I want to finish and go through. But so when you're setting your 10 goals, and you can do this however you want, but this is something to think about too. Maybe you think about, how do I want to feel this year? For example, if I want to feel more connected to other people, if you lead with that feeling, then maybe the goals and the steps in order to get there is, I am going to reach out to friends, 5 friends a week, and try to set up, I don't know, maybe it's still Zoom meetings at this point, or maybe at some point we can socially interact and go on coffee dates and go out to eat and things like that. But you get the idea. If you're leading with the feeling that you want to feel, then your goals are going to look a little bit different versus, I should be getting this certification and doing this for my career and all of these things that maybe aren't going to serve us as well, or it's not really going to generate the feeling that we want to feel this year. Kind of going along with that with goal setting. So in Young Living, they teamed up with ULA, and they have what they call the 7 F's, which are the 7 areas of your life that, if you're sort of working on all of those, are meant to give you more wellness and balance to your life. And so the 7 F's are fitness, faith, fun, family, finance, friends, and then field. And field has to do with career or your passion or your business. And that's different from finance, which is more related to money. Like, maybe I want to save this much in this amount of time, or I want to get out of debt, what have you. So it's a little bit different. Field having to do more with, what your passion or your vocation is. So I really like the idea of that you could maybe create goals, and each goal is related to one of those different areas, because I think it's very easy to get caught up in more of the career or fitness, health side of your goals, and it's very easy to neglect other goals you might have, like family, quality time, or having fun, taking a break from all of the things that you have to do and are responsible for. So that's another thing to think about when you're setting your goals. And you also want to make sure that your goals are specific, right? You don't want to just say, I want to eat healthier, because that's too vague. What does that mean? Does it mean I don't want to eat out at a fast food restaurant more than once a month? Does it mean I want to incorporate vegetables in every single lunch and dinner that I eat? So the more specific you are, the more able you're going to be able to measure and tell whether or not you're meeting that goal, right? So that's just another thing to think about. All right. So the final part for step 4, after you have decided or written down what your 10 goals are, your why is it that I want to accomplish this goal? And by the way, if you are struggling to come up with a why for that goal, it might be an indicator that maybe this isn't really a goal that you should have for this year. If you don't have enough passion or enough reason in order to accomplish it, again, if it's just something that looks good on paper, or it seems like it's something you should be doing versus something that really you're passionate about, that lights your fire, that you're motivated to do, then maybe you reconsider. For example, a lot of people have like weight goals, diet goals, and it's sometimes these goals aren't really, why do you want to do that? Why does it really matter? It's just a number, right? And that number is different. Like if you were on Jupiter, it would be a different number than it is on Earth. Like, why does that really matter, in the grand scheme of things, for example, versus like being able to, for example, run a marathon or compete in some sort of competition or something like that, that maybe has a little bit more oomph, a little bit more like drive to it, will probably help push you along when you don't feel as motivated. So just something to think about. So the last part of step 4 is to write out the mini steps in order to accomplish that each goal. So for example, if your big goal, one of your goals is to write a book, then the mini steps would be to write out the table of contents. And, that would include the chapter titles, and then commit to writing 2 pages a day for the book. And then after that, committing time to editing it. And then after that, researching publishers that you could submit your manuscript to, or getting an editor. You get the idea. One year one of my goals was to accomplish yoga teacher training. And so my why was because I was moving more into this health and wellness space. I do dragon boat paddling, and I was getting more into fitness, and I felt like it would help me accomplish my goals. And so my many steps were to research yoga teacher training courses and the tuition, to save up for the tuition, to register for the class, to get the books for the class, to read the books for the class, so on and so forth. So you get the idea. So creating those mini steps really helps you to see when you have time to work on that goal. You're not sort of wondering, well, I don't know, how do I accomplish this? You can already see, oh, okay, I've already written the table of contents. The next step is to do this. So it's there for you. So you've already thought it out. So that's step 4. That's the big piece. And then step 5 is optional. But it's basically looking back at everything you've written, sort of letting it marinate, seeing if there's patterns that come out to you, and then choosing a word, which is very popular, choosing a word for the year. So for example, if you really want to be more connected with people, that's a goal of yours, and you've created other goals related to that, then maybe that's your word for the year, is connected or connect. If you find that you're stressed out all the time with work and your career, and you really want to remind yourself throughout the year to take a break when you need it and take care of yourself when you need it, then maybe you might choose a word like gentle or relax or breathe, for example. So that word is sort of a way to help you anchor back and stay on track to whatever it is that your goals are for that year. So I hope that was helpful. Again, I apologize that I feel like I'm losing my voice and I sound like a frog, but I have tried to record this several times and my technology just didn't want to cooperate. I ran out of space because of my phone. So hopefully that was helpful. I will share more of the goals that I am setting and my process. I would love to hear if you do some of this process or the whole process, what your goals are, what resonates with you, what you've done. I really love hearing about this. So I hope it was helpful again, and I will talk to you later. Bye.